I call Alfred Naro.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to take a call on the third reading of the Housing Accord Special Housing Areas Bill in its final stage. Mr. Speaker, I want to commend the Minister and also want to just take a short call because much has been said by my colleagues about this substantive both process and also outcome in this piece of legislation, Mr. Speaker, that we think is absolutely important. The regulatory impact statement actually came out and in its overall conclusion established that the special housing areas in which local councils or MB would exercise more flexible resource consenting powers in conjunction and collaboration with the government's proposed changes to the Resource Management Act will most likely increase land supply over the short term in ways consistent with collaboration with those two parties. Mr. Speaker, we believe that this is important. I want to cover just a couple of brief comments, Mr. Speaker, and that's in regards to the submissions we heard in Wellington and in Auckland. And here are some of the things that we, in responding to the submitters, have heard and have amended the Act accordingly, Mr. Speaker. We had submitters that were generally supportive of the government's intention to streamline planning and consenting to boost land supply and housing supply, but there were some changes. In fact, the Property Council in this submission, this is not a silver bullet. The committee made changes to strengthen the bill by clarifying how and when the powers of the bill can be used and by clarifying how the provisions of the bill will work with the legislation, including the RMA. Mr. Speaker, the committee also has amended the bill to specify the adequate infrastructure. That was a concern from a number of developers, submitters, who talked about the concern that there wasn't the parallel development in regards to infrastructure. So the bill has been amended to ensure that infrastructure must either exist or likely to exist in proposed special housing areas, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, also too, just want to cover one key principle. I think what was quite critical was in regards to the override principle. There was a lot of concern. We have to be upfront and honest about that because some have called it an anti-democratic approach, but really, Mr. Speaker, it's a process and a way of ensuring that if there is no ability to come to an agreement, then there must be, in a sense of progress, there must be a process to move this intent on. But the committee has also heard, and along with the Minister, has agreed that there be in regards to the override principle, there be included a dispute resolution process. This has been important, Mr. Speaker, along with the SOPs in 351 around establishing the affordability criteria. Again, that was quite clear that submitters wanted to ensure that when we talked about affordability, what was there. I want to finish on this, Mr. Speaker, because I think this is important. The SOP 351, this amendment further improves the bill, allowing councils to consider the affordability of dwellings when recommending the criteria for qualifying developments. Mr. Speaker, this is something that was quite clear in the submissions. It was something that submitters felt that was very important, and addressed the areas around affordability. This adds to what I think is a very substantive piece of legislation. I commend this bill to the House.
I understand the next call is a split call. Sua Williams-Seo.
Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to take a short call on the government bill.